The Final Stand and the Awakening. The morning sky above New Geneva burned orange and red as plasma cannons lit up the horizon. Commander Marcus Chen pressed his back against the crumbling concrete wall of what had once been the Earth Defense Command Center. His uniform was torn and bloodied, his left arm hung useless at his side, but his grip on his pulse rifle remained steady. Around him, the last 200 humans on Earth fought with everything they had left. The Zephyrian Empire had come to their world 5 years ago, with ships that blocked out the sun and weapons that could turn mountains to glass. They spoke of conquest and glory, of adding Earth to their vast collection of conquered worlds. But they had not expected humans to fight back with such fierce determination. What should have been a quick victory had turned into years of brutal warfare. Now, as Marcus watched his soldiers fall one by one, he knew this was truly the end. The Zephyrians had finally cornered them all in humanity's last stronghold. Their massive war machines rolled through the ruined streets like metal giants, their energy weapons cutting through human defenses like paper. "Commander," called out Sergeant Williams, her voice barely audible over the explosions. "The east wall is falling. They're coming through." Marcus nodded grimly. He had always known this day would come. In his jacket pocket, he carried a small device that had been given to him by the previous commander, who had received it from the one before him. It was a simple thing, no bigger than his thumb, with just one red button. He had never been told exactly what it would do, only that he should press it when all hope was lost, when humanity faced its final hour. That hour had arrived. The Zephyrian ground forces poured through the breach in the wall like a silver tide. Their leader, Admiral Kextar, walked among them with confident strides. He was tall even for his species, with pale blue skin and 4 arms that moved with deadly grace. His golden eyes scanned the battlefield with satisfaction. "Humans," he announced, his voice amplified by technology so all could hear. "Your resistance ends today. Surrender now, and we will make your deaths quick." Marcus stepped out from behind his cover, ignoring the weapons pointed at him from all directions. "We don't surrender," he said, his voice carrying across the silent battlefield. "That's not who we are." Admiral Kextar tilted his head with something that might have been respect. "Your species has shown remarkable stubbornness, but stubbornness cannot stop plasma fire. You have fought well, but you have lost." "Have we?" Marcus asked, and his hand moved to the device in his pocket. Before the aliens could react, he pressed the button. Nothing seemed to happen. No explosion, no bright light, no sudden change in the battle. The Zephyrians looked confused for a moment, then began to laugh. But Marcus smiled as the light faded from his eyes, and he fell to his knees. "Kill them all," Admiral Kextar ordered. The plasma fire that followed lit up the sky for miles around. Far beneath the Earth's surface, in a facility so deep that no scanner had ever detected it, something stirred. Emergency lights flickered on in corridors that had been dark for 50 years. Ancient computers hummed to life, running programs that had been waiting patiently for this exact moment. In the deepest chamber of the facility, a holographic figure materialized. Dr. Elena Vasquez had been dead for half a century, but her consciousness lived on in the quantum cores of the Guardian Protocol. She looked exactly as she had on the day she recorded her final message, her dark hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, her lab coat pristine white. "Guardian Protocol activated," she announced to the empty chamber. "Threat level: extinction. All units prepare for immediate deployment." The chamber filled with the sound of machinery awakening. Along the walls, hundreds of cylindrical pods began to open with soft hissing sounds. Steam rose from each one as the occupants stirred for the first time in decades. The first to emerge was Guardian Unit Alpha 7, though he remembered his name as Phoenix. He had volunteered for the Guardian program during the early days of the war, when Earth's leaders realized they might need a final insurance policy. The process had changed him, enhanced him in ways that pushed the boundaries of human possibility. His reflexes were faster than any normal human, his strength multiplied, his senses sharper than a predator's. But most importantly, his mind had been trained for one purpose: to protect humanity at any cost. Phoenix stepped out of his pod and looked around the chamber. Other Guardians were emerging, each one a perfect soldier crafted for war. They had been the best of the best before the enhancement process, volunteers from every branch of Earth's military. Now they were something more. "Welcome back, Guardians," Dr. Vasquez's hologram said. "I wish I could greet you with better news. The surface war has been lost. Commander Chen, the last known human commander, activated the Guardian Protocol 17 minutes ago. Satellite feeds confirm that all surface resistance has been eliminated." The Guardians received this news in silence. They had expected it might come to this. That was why they had volunteered to sleep in these pods, to wait for the moment when conventional warfare was no longer enough. "Your mission remains unchanged," the hologram continued. "Protect humanity. Preserve our species. Show our enemies that we are not as easily defeated as they believe." Phoenix stepped forward. "How many of us are there?" 300 Guardians across 6 facilities worldwide. You are the primary unit. The others will await your signal. And the aliens above. The Zephyrian Empire has established a garrison of approximately 50,000 troops on Earth. They believe the planet is fully pacified. Intelligence suggests they plan to strip mine our world for resources before moving on to their next conquest. Phoenix nodded. He could feel his enhanced mind already working through possibilities, strategies, weaknesses to exploit. The other Guardians were doing the same. They had been trained to think as one unit while maintaining individual initiative. "What resources do we have?" asked Guardian Beta 3, who had once been called Storm. "Full military arsenal stored in sublevels 7 through 12. Advanced weapons, vehicles, surveillance equipment. Everything you need to wage asymmetric warfare against a superior force." And the civilian population. This came from Guardian Gamma 5, formerly Shadow. Dr. Vasquez's expression grew sad. "Unknown. Orbital scans suggest small populations may have survived in hidden locations, but we have no confirmed contact." Phoenix felt something cold settle in his chest. They might be the last humans left alive. But that only made their mission more important, not less. "We'll need intelligence on enemy positions, patrol patterns, command structure," he said. "All available data is being downloaded to your neural interfaces now," the hologram replied. "But remember, this information is 5 years old. The situation on the surface will have changed." The Guardians spent the next several hours preparing. They equipped themselves with advanced armor that could turn nearly invisible weapons that fired projectiles faster than sound, and communication devices that could coordinate their efforts across vast distances. As they prepared to leave the facility for the first time in 50 years, Phoenix gathered his team around him. "Remember what we trained for," he said. "We're not trying to win a conventional war. We're trying to make the enemy think twice about what they've done here. We're going to remind the galaxy that humanity doesn't die quietly." The first Guardian team reached the surface through hidden tunnels that emerged miles from any Zephyrian position. Phoenix's enhanced vision immediately adapted to the daylight, and he surveyed the changed landscape of his home world. Where cities had once stood, now there were alien mining operations. Strange towers reached toward the sky, harvesting something from Earth's atmosphere. In the distance, Zephyrian ships moved in regular patterns, confident in their complete control of the planet. That confidence would soon be tested. Phoenix activated his communication system and sent a coded message to the other Guardian facilities around the world. "This is Alpha 7 to all units. Surface reconnaissance confirms enemy occupation. Beginning Phase 1 operations. Remember your training. Remember why we're here." The responses came back immediately from around the globe. "Beta facility standing by. Gamma facility ready. Delta facility armed and prepared." For the first time since Earth's fall, humanity had soldiers on the move again. The Zephyrians didn't know it yet, but the war was far from over. As night fell across the ruined landscape, Phoenix and his team began their approach to the nearest alien outpost. They moved like shadows, their enhanced abilities allowing them to cover ground faster than any normal human while remaining completely silent. The real war was about to begin. The silent war begins. 3 weeks had passed since the Guardians emerged from their underground sanctuary, and the Zephyrian garrison was beginning to understand that something was wrong. It had started small, a communication tower going offline here, a patrol failing to report in there. Admiral Kextar had initially dismissed these incidents as equipment failures or natural phenomena. Now, as he stood in the command center of his orbital station looking down at Earth, he knew better. "Report," he commanded his intelligence officer. 17 outposts have gone dark in the past week," Commander Velthar replied, his 4 arms moving nervously over his control panel. "No distress signals, no signs of struggle. The facilities are simply empty. Empty." Kextar's golden eyes narrowed. "What do you mean empty?" "I mean there are no bodies, sir. No evidence of battle. Our soldiers are simply gone, along with their equipment and vehicles. It's as if they vanished into thin air." On the surface below, Phoenix crouched on a hilltop overlooking the massive Zephyrian mining complex known as Extraction Site 7. Through his enhanced vision, he could see the alien workers moving like ants around their machinery, completely unaware that they were being watched. His communication device crackled softly. "Alpha 7, this is Beta 3. Storm here. We've cleared the northwestern sector. No survivors." "Copy that. Storm, what's your ammunition status?" "Still green. These aliens don't seem to expect resistance. Most of them don't even carry weapons." Phoenix understood why. The Zephyrians had conquered dozens of worlds, and after the initial military defeat, the civilian populations had always submitted peacefully. They had no experience dealing with a species that refused to accept defeat. "Shadow, report," Phoenix called. "Gamma 5 here. I've made contact with a group of survivors in the old subway tunnels beneath Sector 12. Approximately 40 humans, mostly civilians. They'd been hiding since the occupation began." This was the news Phoenix had been hoping for. "Are they willing to work with us?" "More than willing. They're led by a woman named Sarah Martinez, former military engineer. She says there are other survivor groups scattered across the continent." Phoenix felt something he hadn't experienced since awakening. Hope. Humanity had endured. Now it was time to show these survivors that they weren't alone. 2 hours later, Phoenix made his way through a series of abandoned maintenance tunnels to reach the survivor encampment. The tunnels were dark and cramped, but his enhanced vision and hearing allowed him to navigate them easily. When he finally reached the hidden entrance, he was met by a woman holding an improvised weapon, a piece of metal pipe with a sharpened end. "You're not Zephyrian," she said, her voice cautious but steady. "No, I'm human. Guardian Unit Alpha 7. You can call me Phoenix." Sarah Martinez lowered her weapon, but didn't relax entirely. She was in her 40s with graying hair and clothes that had been patched many times. But her eyes were alert and intelligent, and Phoenix could see the military bearing that Shadow had mentioned. "Guardian?" she asked. "I've never heard of any Guardian units." "We were classified. A contingency plan in case the conventional war was lost." Sarah studied him carefully. "You look different. Enhanced somehow." Phoenix nodded. "The Guardian program involved significant modifications. We were designed to operate behind enemy lines indefinitely." He followed her deeper into the tunnel system, eventually reaching a larger chamber where the survivors had made their camp. Men, women, and children looked up at him with a mixture of hope and fear. These people had lived in hiding for years, never knowing if each day would be their last. "How many of you are there?" Sarah asked as they sat down at a makeshift table. 300 Guardians worldwide. But we're not the only humans left. My team has located several other survivor groups. 300, Sarah repeated, against 50,000 aliens. The numbers don't tell the whole story. Phoenix replied. We have advantages they don't expect. Advanced equipment, enhanced capabilities, and most importantly, we know this world better than they do. Sarah leaned forward. What do you need from us? Intelligence. You've been watching them for years. You know their patterns, their weaknesses, their daily routines. That information is more valuable than any weapon. Over the next several hours, Sarah and her people shared everything they had learned about the Zephyrian occupation. The aliens had established their main command center in what had once been New York City. They ran regular patrols but followed predictable routes. Most of their communication relied on the transmission towers that the Guardians had already begun targeting. There's something else, Sarah said as the briefing concluded. The Zephyrians aren't just mining resources. They're building something. A massive structure in the center of their main base. We don't know what it is, but they've been working on it constantly. Phoenix filed this information away for later analysis. We're going to start hitting them harder. Military targets, command posts, supply lines. But we'll need your people to help coordinate safe zones for any civilian evacuations. You're talking about open warfare, Sarah said. That's suicide. They have ships in orbit, weapons that can level cities. They have those things, Phoenix agreed. But they also have overconfidence. They think Earth is pacified. They're not prepared for a real fight. As if to prove his point, Phoenix's communication device buzzed with an incoming message. Alpha 7, this is Delta 1. We've successfully infiltrated the main communication hub in the European sector, ready to proceed with the coordinated strike. Phoenix stood up. Sarah, get your people ready to move to the backup shelters we discussed. In about 6 hours, the Zephyrians are going to learn that humanity is still here. The coordinated attack began at exactly midnight Earth time. Across 6 continents, Guardian teams struck simultaneously at critical Zephyrian infrastructure. Communication towers toppled, power stations went dark, and supply convoys disappeared into the night. In his orbital command center, Admiral Kextar watched in growing alarm as reports flooded in from across the planet. His carefully ordered occupation was falling apart before his eyes. Sir, Commander Velfar called out, his voice tight with concern. We're receiving a transmission. It's broadcasting on all frequencies. Put it through. The main screen flickered to life, showing a figure in advanced military armor. The face was hidden behind a tactical visor, but the voice that spoke was unmistakably human. Admiral Kextar of the Zephyrian Empire, Phoenix said, his voice calm and controlled. This is Guardian Unit Alpha 7 of the Earth Defense Force. You were told that humanity was defeated. You were told that our world was conquered. You were told that our species was finished. The image on the screen showed scenes from around the planet. Zephyrian facilities burning, alien vehicles destroyed, outposts standing empty. You were told wrong, Phoenix continued. Humanity endures. We adapt. We survive. And we never stop fighting for our home. The transmission cut to black, leaving Admiral Kextar staring at his reflection in the empty screen. Sir, Velfar said quietly, what are your orders? Kextar was silent for a long moment. In all his years of conquest, he had never encountered a species like this. Most civilizations accepted defeat when their military forces were destroyed. But these humans seemed to possess something his people had never understood. The refusal to accept that any fight was truly over. Double all patrols, he finally ordered. Activate the orbital defense systems and send a message to the High Command. Tell them we may need reinforcements. As the Zephyrian response began to mobilize, Phoenix and his guardians melted back into the shadows. They had achieved their first objective. The enemy was no longer confident, no longer comfortable. Now the real war could begin. In the hidden tunnels beneath the earth, Sarah Martinez gathered her people around her. Did you hear that broadcast? She asked. Nods and murmurs of confirmation rippled through the group. Then you know we're not alone anymore. Humanity has guardians watching over us. Tomorrow, we start taking our world back. Above them, the Zephyrian ships still controlled the skies. Their soldiers still patrolled the surface. But something fundamental had changed. The silence that had fallen over Earth when Commander Chen made his last stand had been broken. And in that breaking, hope had found its voice again.